Welcome back to another edition of the Friday Golf Podcast. Today, I am joined by Johnson Wagner to break down this year's PGA Championship. I can't believe it's here already. We are in the heart of major championship season. Of course, last week we talked about Oakmont. This week we have the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Xander Schauffele is the defending champion. Obviously, has a great track record at Quail Hollow through the years, and we've got a major championship chock full of storylines. I think the amazing thing about this year's PGA is just the run up, what's been happening in pro golf, and it's hard not to be excited about the top players and their form coming in. Obviously, Scotty Sheffler is coming off of a win at the CJ Cup, a dominant win at a golf course that makes it very hard to be dominant at. You have Rory McIlroy fresh off his Masters win, as well as JT getting in the winner's circle and Bryson getting in the winner's circle on LIV in South Korea. So tons of stories. The big players are going to be the dominant story. I think that's kind of a great situation for the PGA Championship, is to have kind of that player-led story. So we are joined by Johnson Wagner, a local Charlotte resident. Johnson is become a big-time superstar personality for the Golf Channel. He's on Live From. He is a great guy, great golf mind. Is into golf course architecture. Obviously, very astute with the professional game from his years playing on the PGA Tour and covering it now for Golf Channel. So thrilled that Johnson could join. I've been really a big fan of his career post playing. So excited to talk about the PGA and do our 5 things about the PGA Championship with Johnson Wagner. Before we get to that, let's talk about our partner, Good Walk Coffee. This is a true partnership. I have to say, I was in Scotland for 10 days, and then I came back home. I was stopped in Oakmont, but on my way back home, all I could think about was making my own pot of coffee in the morning. I think that's one of the things that I often miss when I go on these big trips the most, besides my family and my home, is the idea of waking up and making a nice pot of coffee. And my coffee is the fried egg blend from Good Walk Coffee. As I said, we are partners with Good Walk, so that purchasing this product directly helps us, as well as Good Walk, a great friend of ours. And, I would recommend checking out the subscription. If you do a subscription service, you can basically get the coffee shipped to you on a cadence that works for you. I get 2 bags a month. It might be a little light when I'm home all month. It might be a little too much when I'm traveling. So right now I've got a nice surplus. But the great thing about that is that I am able to dish it out to some friends, neighbors, a bag here, a bag there. Makes a great great gift for, friends. So we have 2 different blends. We have the Shotgun Start blend. That is a more medium dark roast. So if you like a darker bean, that should be that'd be right up your alley. I'm more of a light bean drinker. My wife turns out is a dark bean drinker. We've got kind of a battle going on in the household between the 2 blends. So the light bean is, if you're more of a light bean drinker, check out the fried egg blend. You can purchase all this stuff at goodwalkcoffee.com. If you use the promo code fried egg, you will get 20% off your purchase with fried egg, 30% off your first purchase of subscription, and then 10% off every shipment after that. So use the promo code fried egg and go to goodwalkcoffee.com. All right, let's get to Johnson Wagner. All right, it's time for the 2025 PGA Championship, and I'm super excited about the guests. It's been a long time. I feel like we talked about you coming on the pod like 3 years ago, and it's just been misconnection after misconnection. Johnson Wagner, I'm happy I remembered I asked you at the Masters. I'm not gonna lie, I was in this stupor from my long trip, and I was like scrambling. I was like, who am I having on for the PGA? And then PJ reminded me, what about Johnson? You said Johnson was coming on. I was like, oh my God, I completely forgot. So Johnson, thank you for joining me. You are you're traveling across the country for your Tiger historic shot thing. How's it going?
It's going good. Just getting really going out here at Pebble Beach. Was fortunate to play a practice round at I played a round at Cypress Point upon arrival, and man, I just love being out here and excited for the rest of the trip. It's going to be a good time. Hopefully, Tiger Woods. Hopefully, I can make him proud with some of these recreations.
If I'm Tiger, I'm worried that you're going to outdo him. Yeah,
that is not going to happen. And if it does, it will be met with a wild celebration.
Honestly, you've carved out quite a role in golf media. It's been so fun to watch, like your popularity rise. I'm not sure that your ardent fans would like if you outdo Tiger.
I don't think it's possible. I will give away a little bit. I don't know when this is going to air, but I will be hitting the shot out of the fairway bunker at Glen Abbey on Friday for Golf Central. And I can tell you one thing, I will not be hitting the 6-iron to where he did. If I hit 6-iron, it'd probably go in the middle of the lake. It's going to be a 3-iron for me, and I'd be happy if it found dry land.
The Tiger shots are astounding. So I was at Carnoustie last week, and I walked over and looked at the bunker that, remember on 10 when he hit that shot out of that bunker. I went in and I pulled up the video and watched the video and then put a ball down where it was. And I was just looking at it and I'm like, this is not possible. This is not humanly possible to hit this shot.
There's nobody that could hit the shots that he was able to hit, especially, in his prime. The shot he hit at Hazeltine when he hit that 3-iron, cut it out of the bunker. Most people are just pitching that back to the fairway, and Tiger Woods is like, no, I can hit this up there close. It's remarkable the stuff he was able to do.
I sometimes, with some of the chips you've hit over the last year, I think that sometimes it gets lost that like you were a bona fide tour player, one of the best players in the world for a very long time. I feel like people are discounting the fact that you are a bona fide tour pro.
Well, it's tough, man. I get out there, Andy. I get out there and I wait for about an hour. It's not like I'm going to the range. It's not like I'm practicing. I don't hit any warm-up chips or anything. And my short game sucks. It always has. And so now I've got to do it at the highest pressure moment without having made contact with the ball yet for the day. So I don't expect much out of myself. And that's why sometimes when I hit a good one, I'm like, oh, I surprise myself. But usually they're pretty bad, which people I've found enjoy watching me. I wish people had enjoyed watching me skull, duff, shank, chunk chips back when I played, because I may have had some galleries, because that was kind of what I did all the time.
Well, I've got news for people. It's not out of the question that you will be playing on tour in an opposite field event this year. You've been getting close.
I have been getting close. I'm trying.
Can you walk me through, before we're going to get to the PGA, but when you see your name creeping up the alternate list, what are you texting your wife being like, hey, can you get my clubs ready? You might have to ship them.
So I entered the field at both Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic because I wanted to get my old caddy a credential for the year. And so I had to at least be like, yeah, I'm signed up for a couple events. I plan on going to play. And I got really close to Puerto Rico, and my like heart started beating really fast on Monday when I was like, oh, damn, I'm 8th alternate. I know how this works. I'm getting in and I'm going to go play. Right. My son never got to caddy for me on tour. He's 16 now. So I was going to go play, but it would have been, I've got the high rights and the low lefts off the tee. I don't know that I could finish a round on the PGA Tour right now.
Listen, I think you're entering in with the best possible mindset. Low expectations typically yield great, surprising results.
Right. Go win one of them and get into the PGA Championship. The players go, and then what do I do?
Then you're in a pickle with your job. You'd be one of you wouldn't be the only part-time player, part-time analyst the Golf Channel's got. So that would be the position you get yourself in. Let's get to the PGA. This is a big week. This is your home course. What are you most excited about with, I always think like there's a level of pride when you're covering the game of golf when the road show hits your hometown, and particularly a major championship. As a Chicagoan, very prideful golf city, this is one of the things that I'm most sad about, that, there's no major championship in sight for one of the great golf cities. But the big show is coming to Charlotte. What are you most excited about?
Well, you guys have the President's Cup at Medina next year. I mean, come on
I'm
now.
Irrationally excited about the Peak Cup. This is the most excited I've been about the Peak Cup. The golf course is going to be great for that, and excited about Jeff Ogilvy leading the internationals to victory.
And he's going to have a ton of great insight since he did the restoration of that golf course too. So I think that's going to be awesome. But what I'm most excited about, man, the PGA Championship we had in 2017 back in August, it was wet, it was humid, it was just awful weather. Quail Hollow plays so much better when it's overseeded. The next big event we had was the President's Cup in 22. Again, it was Bermuda, and it played really well. It played really nicely that week because we got some cool weather, and it kind of thinned out, and it was sort of this jumpy Bermuda rough. But I've always felt like the Wells Fargo Championship, now the Truist Championship, is the best time of year to be in Charlotte. It's May. It's like we can have some cool mornings and some warm days. And I'm excited for the golf course because we've been shut down as members for 3 weeks leading in. And I'm telling you, there's not a blade of grass out of place. The fairways are as firm and as fast as I've ever seen them. The rough, while it's not long, it's super thick, and it's been kind of mown and drug back towards the tee. So it's going to play gnarly. I'm excited because I think this is going to be the best Quail Hollow has ever presented itself for a major championship or for any big event. And it's going to be awesome as a member and as someone who's covering it to watch the best players in the world try to attack it.
I think it's in a hard position just because of it being a annual host on the PGA Tour. I think this, like, Pebble is not immune to this. Like, the criticism of Pebble with the U.S. Opens is, like, we see it every year. And I think, like, we're going to run into something similar with Riviera in the Olympics. Like, we see this course all the time. I think, like, that's one of the challenging things about hosting it. But that being said, one of the beneficial things is that a major championship, and I'm such a firm believer in this, like, major championships going to major cities is a great thing because you get great crowd support. You get, like, the local aspect of it. There's a sense of, like, rather than it going, somewhere far away from a city or an hour from a city, like, say, like in Erin Hills. This is not meant to be a drive-by of Erin Hills where everybody's getting, like, taking, like, a long shuttle to get there. It is awesome to be in cities. And Quail Hollow is the club in Charlotte, right? Like, that's the one everybody kind of talks about. Obviously, Charlotte Country Club, Carolina Golf Clubs are great places, but Quail is the spot, and it's neat to go to the top spot in a big town. I think, like, I'm not the biggest Quail Hollow fan. I think we know this. I will say one thing I appreciate about Quail Hollow is I think it has a nice cadence of give and take, where you kind of, like, start out, you have a nice start, then it gets a little tougher. Then you have a run of scoreable holes where you can really get while the getting's good, and then you got to hold on for dear life on the finish. And I think that cadence, whether or not you love the golf architecture being presented, the cadence of the round works really, really well for championship golf and for exciting tournament golf.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, 14, 15, where they're located. 14, I would argue 14 is one of the best drivable holes in championship golf because it actually allows you to get the ball close to the green. I love 10 at Riviera, but you can't hit that green with off the tee. I mean, maybe if it's soft, you can keep it on the front left. But 14 at Quail, if you execute the right shot, you can give yourself a makeable eagle putt. And then 15, the par 5 is tremendous. Yes, of course, there are some issues. 17 can be pretty difficult to hold the green, the par 3. But yeah, I agree with you on the cadence. It does deliver a true championship test. And I think to your point about having a regular PGA Tour event, I think it was the No Laying Up guys called it Quail Hollow fatigue. Like, we don't get an opportunity to miss Quail Hollow because we host something every single year. And I think that's where people's opinions come from it. But we deliver really exciting, good tournaments that, by the way, benefit Rory McIlroy most of the time.
Right? We do this 5 things. I was gonna have. I figured course was gonna be one of your 5 things, so I figured I'd just tee you up with it. One of my first things, Rory McIlroy, and you said this course benefits Rory McIlroy. You ready for his finishes through the years at Quail Hollow?
Bring it on.
2010, first place. 2011, he missed the cut. 2012, T2. 2013, T10. 2014, T8. 2015, first. 2016, T4, PGA Championship in 2017, T22, 2018, T16, 2019, T8, 2020, obviously no tournament, 2021, first, 2022, fifth, 2023, T47, and then 2024, a win. Pretty good.
Call that a honey hole. That's Quail Hollow is his it's his annuity right there.
I think he is obviously the big storyline of the week. I think that I think this is one of the less interesting 5 things, because I think like the way that the world of golf is kind of positioned right now, and it's a extraordinary run up. The prime storylines of the world of golf center around the prime players right now in the world, and I think like what's really cool is we have Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Bryson DeChambeau in peak form. And I think Jon Rahm, he will tell you he hasn't finished outside the top 10 in forever. He is in good form, but I think there needs to be a little asterisk there. I think Rory, he's got the monkey out the back, and he's going to one of winning the major at the Masters. And he's going to one of the great golf courses set up for him. Why does Quail Hollow set up so well for Rory McIlroy?
Well, so, I mean, I know he plays a little bit of a fade now off the tee when he wants, but Quail Hollow has always been a drawer's paradise. It's part of the reason I love Bryson to play well at Quail Hollow. And I think when you look at the changes we've made over the years to the 16th hole, which used to be such an incredible par 4, now it's down towards the pond. There's a bunker out there that used to be 310 to cover. We built a new tee for Rory for the 2024 Wells Fargo. Now it's 325 to carry, and he's the only person, or one of the only people in the field that can carry that bunker. And you look at what we did leading into the PGA, we only made one change, which is a small amount for us. And we put a new tee box on 9. And it's back. It's now 535 yards. And it only benefits one player. It's Rory. So it's like when Augusta National tried to tiger-proof their golf course, all they did was make it more of an advantage for that player. And so when you look at the changes we've made to Quail Hollow, it only benefits Rory. And the green complexes, we redo our greens maybe once every 7 or 8 years, and this is now going to be 2 years in. They're still going to be firm even if we have weather. So Rory's ability to spin the ball the way he does, I mean, just think about the shot he hit 15 on Sunday at Augusta, curving it around the trees. Like, the Quail Hollow rewards someone who hits it long and can spin their ball coming into the greens, and that just fits him to a tee.
I was thinking about something the other day, and you hit on Rory's. He hits a little bit of a fade off the tee now, but he is a natural drawer of the golf ball. As he grew up drawing a golf ball. And I was watching actually a Grant Horvat YouTube video with Bryson with this thought entered my mind. I would say that Bryson and Rory right now are the best hard golf course players in the world. You could probably throw Scotty in there also, but one of the things that I find interesting is like it's kind of become like fade or bust in pro golf, and arguably the 2 hardest golf course players, Rory and Bryson, are both drawers of the golf ball.
It's just so much easier to control the fade, right? If you can, I'm a hooker of the golf ball. I wouldn't consider myself a drawer anymore.
One of my favorite lines is hookers eat hamburger and faders eat filet.
That's exactly right. And I mean, these guys, you can hit it harder with less worry about it going offline if you can hit that fade. And I think that's why with the modern drivers and the ball and the fact that it's hard to curve it, I think that's why Rory's going to that fade. But yeah, I mean, Sepp Straka, Lucas Glover are maybe two of the only other guys that I can think of that pretty much exclusively hit that right to left tee ball. They're just, it's a dying breed out there.
Yeah. I just found it interesting. I think if you once were a drawer, it's then easier to hit both ways. And I think that might be one of the things is like, if you start out drawing the ball, it's not that hard to become a fader. As someone who was a drawer.
Okay.
Speak from personal experience. But then it opens up the ability to hit both shots because you have done it. It's in your ID, right? And if you think about like Rory winning that Masters, it really came down to him being able to hit a rope hook, you know?
Yeah. But at the same time, like the way he was able to hit that tee shot on 18, both in the playoff and in regulation, like you can hit a rope hook off that tee. But like put Max Homa in that position on 15. And I love Max, but he is pretty much an exclusive fader of the golf ball. Put him in that spot on 15, he probably lays it up, right? I mean, there aren't many guys that can just shut that face down and hit that high swooping draw like Rory was able to do.
What do you think with Rory? Do you see this as a floodgates or a, you know what, we're going to see similar, you know, like, I think like the thing that's unique with Rory is you know, he's been in so many positions. He's been in the mix so often. He's been the most consistent major player. It's like been the most consistent player without a win. Now he has gotten the win. Do you see it as the majors are going to be easier for him, or do you think they're just going to be kind of a similar situation to what we've seen the last 3 years?
Well, my hope is that they're going to be easier, and the amount of work he did leading up to the Masters this year, changing his golf ball, being able to hit the 3/4 shot, the amount of work he put into his mind, and the way he's able to handle things differently and not have the highs and the lows, at least emotionally. Obviously, Sunday at Augusta, he had the highs and lows all over that golf course. But I do think I'm going to do a walk and talk with him either Tuesday or Wednesday at the PGA. And one of my questions is going to be about motivation, right? Like, if he's motivated the way he was to go win that Masters, yes, I think it's a floodgate situation. And I don't think anybody would fault him for maybe taking a step back a little bit because of what he poured in, like because of, I mean, the emotions that poured out of him when he won the Masters. I don't think anybody would be like, you know what, Rory, you can take some time off. But I don't think that's in his DNA. I think he's going to be motivated, and he knows. I mean, look at the setup this year. He got the Masters out of the way. Quail Hollow he's won 4 times there. Like, everybody's going to think he's going to have a great chance to win, which he probably will. Oakmont's a great fit. He can just hit it all around that place. And then going to Northern Ireland, like, this is his major year. So I expect him to be motivated. I think he's going to win more majors in this second act post Masters than he did before, right? I think, you know, the 4 majors was great, and it took 11 years to get that 5th one. I expect him to go on to win 10 plus personally. And I think it's been important to him to be the best European player of all time. So I think looking at Seve, looking at Nick Faldo, I think he's still motivated to go get those wins.
I think that's right. I think like he cares about his legacy, and I think he's been good now for almost 20 years. There aren't many, like, I remember this used to be the discourse with DJ is like, oh, he doesn't care, he doesn't work hard. And it's like, I just feel like it's like, buddy, you don't get to number 1 in the world without working hard. Like, that just doesn't happen. And you don't, you know, in Rory's case, you don't stay. He hasn't been out of the top 16 in the world rankings. I think it was 1 week outside the top 15 in the world rankings since something like 2010. You don't spend 15 years in the top 15 if you aren't motivated and you are not a maniacal about your craft, because like we see it now. I mean, the second somebody takes their foot off the gas a little, it's like, wait, how did they become the 30th ranked player in the world? You know, I thought, you know, and I think that's like the thing with Rory. I don't know how long he's going to keep playing. I don't necessarily think that like we're going to see him like grinding like crazy deep into his 40s. He said as much. Sadly for PJ, he says he's not going to play the Champions Tour. I think PJ wants to ask some hard questions one day of Rory about that. But the thing, I think he is looking at the next real 5 years as this is, prime hunting season. And I think he's motivated, as you said, to be the best European player of all time. But then also you start to think about like, if he can add 2-3 majors, where he gets career legacy wise as well. Like, he's going to add three PGA Tour wins a year to his resume, pretty much. One would be a bad year for him. So you start to see like 40 PGA Tour wins, maybe 50 PGA Tour wins if things go really well. And, if he gets to 6, 7, 8 majors, it's like a pretty crazy career.
It's a crazy career. And I think in this time of golf, when they're playing for so much money, that these guys have 3 or 4, like Justin Thomas, for example, wins 2 majors, has a nice career. He's won 15, 16 times now. Like, he doesn't need to do a thing the rest of his life. And I think to your point about the Champions Tour, I think they're in a real pickle because you're not going to see these guys. Like, I'm 45 now. I'm not good enough.
You should be getting out there. You should be getting stars out there.
Maybe I will. But the Champions Tour is not going to survive on Johnson Wagner's. And I know JJ Henry's going out there. Charlie Hoffman, Ryan Palmer are about to turn 50. Like, that tour needs Rory to go want to play. But what golf does to your body and these guys, the way they swing it now, I don't see it. I don't see it either. But yet Rory's going to get to 8 majors. I'm confident in that. I think he's going to get to 10 personally. I think double digits is the goal. I think he's going to get there. I think he's going to win at least one more this year, and then who knows?
Yeah, Oakmont is a primo setup for him. After I was just there this week for the first time, and I was kind of like, I mean, being it's him and Bryson to me just fit so well at Oakmont.
The way they can hit out of the rough and be able to control their ball is so next level. I played the 07 U.S. Open at Oakmont. I couldn't move the ball out of the rough. And these guys, they can hit it so far down there that maybe they're coming in with an 8-iron or 7-iron at most into a par 4 out of that rough. And they can hit it high and soft and put it in good positions. It's ridiculous. And Bryson at Quail Hollow, by the way this rough is, man, it is thick. We did a different overseed this year to ensure like a heavy stand, even if we had a warm spring. It is the thickest rye overseeded rough I've ever seen at Quail Hollow. And with Bryson's strength, man, he's going to be a problem around that place.
Let's talk about, I assume he's one of your 5 things.
He absolutely is. And I picked him on my 5 Clubs podcast with Gary Williams earlier in the week. I obviously, I'm a huge Jordan Spieth fan, huge Rory McIlroy fan. I would love for one of them to win. But I see Bryson DeChambeau being there till the very end. He's motivated. He's all been out of shape that Rory didn't talk to him all day Sunday at the Masters, and he's got something to prove. And he's gonna. I mean, I don't know that he's gonna win, but he's gonna be right there on Sunday.
Yeah, I think like obviously the thing that's been amazing is like the evolution of Bryson since he went to live. I think he's obviously become extremely popular. One. But he's also become a much more well-rounded player. And we see this at the Masters. Like this, that was a golf course that gave him fits. He obviously won at Pinehurst #2, a golf course that you did not expect. At the lead into the week at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst last year was like, oh, I don't know how this golf course really fits with Bryson. He almost won Valhalla, a golf course that fit his game quite well. Now we go to a golf course that, we just talked about how good of a fit it is for Rory. The other guy, I think, in the field that can make all those bunkers obsolete, the guy that, when you talk about Rory proofing a golf course, that if you Rory proof a golf course or attempt to, you're also playing directly into the hands of Bryson DeChambeau. And, the control out of the rough. I think, like, I said this after the Masters, what goes under the radar, everybody talks about the power with Bryson. The guy just knows how to get the ball in the hole. He has a penchant for hitting shots and making putts when he absolutely has to. It's just everybody knows the guy at their club that like just seems to get it done when he needs to get done. I think what doesn't get talked about enough with Bryson is he's just a natural scorer of the golf ball.
His short game at Augusta was mind blowing, and the way he goes about his business and the way he hits those shots, like he was a little rigid for me in the short game before Augusta, and he had this little like whip in his wrist, sort of at the top where he's throwing the club head under. He hit some of the most remarkable shots. I mean, I think it was 7 when he was missed it way left of the green and hit this beautiful pitch to the front center pin. Like, he didn't have his best iron play. He had to get it done with the short game, with the putter. The putt he made on 18 on Saturday from the left edge of the green, I mean, it was a 50-footer in front of the crowd like he does. He has a flair for the moment. And when you think about Quail Hollow for him specifically, the first hole there, it's a par 5 for member play. It's not my favorite opening hole. I don't know if you remember Quail Hollow before. The opening hole was an absolute gem. Bryson takes this thing over the stand of pine trees when he plays it and hits this 30-yard draw back to the fairway. On number 2, he can take it over the trees. Like, he can cut corners and do things that only a couple people in the field can do, and most of them can't do it with any sort of control. To have the speed he has and to be able to hit it as straight as he does, he's going to be a force, not only at Quail, but, man, I mean, Oakmont. Okay. The only venue I don't really like him at is the Open Championship. I think the one thing is him flighting those long irons. Like, he just hits the ball so high with so much spin that he really struggled at Troon last year. I see the Open Championship sort of being his Achilles heel when it comes to majors.
I think for him and Scotty, I think we've seen this we saw it with Phil. They have to learn to love links golf. I think it's starting to be really clear to me, like, the type of golf that Scotty likes is like, it's the right in front of you kind of fair police golf, where, like, I hit a good shot, I'm in good shape. He complained about Pinehurst, about the native areas of Pinehurst, how it was just pure luck. He had the worst driving week I think he's has had in the last 2 years there. And then the Open has been his weakest major, Scotty. But like Bryson, in a similar vein, he's so calculate. I just came back from playing, basically 2 weeks in Scotland, and you play there in a heavy wind with firm conditions, and you're 670 yards away with you're just guessing you have to feel where you hit the shot, right? And I think that's where the last piece of Bryson is really getting that, being able to play the feel. I think look what the work he's done with the Masters, a course where he was struggling with uneven lies, struggling around the greens, and he's become so good there. And I think that's the last thing with Bryson in the major championships is these guys need, and they're kind of creatures of routine, especially Scotty. They need to go out and just play like 2 weeks of links golf and just, enjoy the joy. Don't bring your rangefinder. Just hit shots, understand how the ball is going to bounce in and how you can hit different shots around the greens and fall in love with that. But with Bryson, these I wouldn't say conventional, but American major championships. So he's played last year. He goes T6 at the Masters, which was a real surprise. Second place at the PGA. He wins the U.S. Open, and then he misses the cut at Troon. He then finishes T5 at this year's Masters. I think he's rounding into as good of a major championship player as there is. Obviously 4 top 6s and a win in the last 5 majors. And I would argue he's won two U.S. Opens. I would argue that the PGA setup philosophy is probably the very best setup for Bryson DeChambeau.
I would completely agree with that. And I also love your points about going over in Scotland and playing golf, getting rid of the laser. Yes, absolutely. Bryson's so mechanical. He's got the 3/4 swing. He calls a 9 o'clock, a 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock backswing. That doesn't work when you're playing in 30-mile-an-hour winds, right? It's not, links golf is not science. It is feel. You have to be an artist, and he's got that in him. But the PGA setup, you're spot on there. It is perfect for him because you don't generally have the pitch out U.S. Open rough like he won with at Winged Foot, just manhandling that golf course, hitting it as far as he could. Yeah, I you're making my Bryson pick at Quail Hollow seem even smarter right now, Andy.
One sneaky thing I was looking, one like thing we forget. I think of it in one and done with picks. I think I'm going to take Rory this week for my one and done. I think it's just like such a great, obviously a great fit. We went through his results. I'm saving Bryson for Oakmont. He was in contention through 3 rounds in 2016. It's something, he was in the top 10. He had an outside shot at winning that tournament. He had a bad Sunday and that tumbled down, but like that was when the golf course didn't necessarily fit his game as well as it does now. Like he's so much like, talk about an evolution of a player. And I think that's like a fascinating thing with Bryson is like, we see guys try and chase stuff and fail at golf all the time. Look at Victor Hovland, right? And look at what's happened with Jordan Spieth through the years, through injuries but also kind of trying to rework his game. He's Bryson has evolved like twice now as a player, and I'd be interested. A couple of years ago, I asked him at the Open Championship if he was playing the best golf. It was at the old course of his career. He had won a major. He still said that his best golf was 2018 when he won those. I would bet if you asked him now, he would say he's the best golfer he's ever been.
Completely agree with that. He's way more well-rounded. The short game, the putting, he has reinvented himself with that putter. And as uncomfortable as it looks and as weird as it is that he goes and paces off the distance and has that yardstick that he practices with, and he knows how far to take it back for a I mean, it's weird, right? Like, but it works for him. It is who he is, and he's absolutely the best player. And he is, whether it's real or it's fake, like, the engagement he has with the fans, like he's got more support than he ever has. And who would have thought Sunday at Augusta that it was even a question in the last group with Rory McIlroy that, yeah, Bryson's going to have his fair share of fans out there. And he proved that he did. And it's of all the guys that went to live, he's the only one that has really benefited from that decision, because it's allowed him to kind of be himself a little bit more and to express himself in different ways. And good on him, man. Like, he's been great to me. Every time I've asked him to do anything, he does it. I know that a lot of players still think he's completely full of it, but I don't care. He's got it figured out.
He's just become a very good player. I think the fan support is going to be very behind him. I think the Masters is a unique situation with the fans. I think that Bryson's going to be the most popular player at Quail and also at Oakmont.
I'm gonna push back on that one. It's gonna be Rory at Quail. I mean, he's an honorary member. The city of Charlotte loves him. Like, there's no way Bryson's gonna have more support than Rory at Quail. Come on, Andy.
I think he would more support at Pinehurst. Bryson did. I think that when you get that big audience, like the open ticket, the Sunday of the Masters is not an open ticket, right? When you get that open ticket atmosphere, I think Bryson DeChambeau has got just such a big, maybe not more fans, but louder fans.
Is he a lock for you on the Ryder Cup this year?
I think he is. He has to be, right?
Can you imagine how much support he'd have out there? And what about a Rory Bryson Sunday singles where the cup comes down to that match? Can you imagine the support he'd have there?
I fear for what will be happening in the crowds.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a busy week for security, possibly.
Very.
That brings up my next thing. Brooks Koepka and Jon Rahm and a little bit of the Ryder Cup. I think Jon Rahm, for the most part, is probably a lock for the Ryder Cup. Brooks Koepka, he was invited to the Ryder Cup dinner this week at Truist. And I think like a big question for me is, these guys have to do stuff in majors because of their decision to go to the LIV. Like, that's their only path towards relevance. I think that Jon Rahm is very sensitive about his status in the game of golf right now. And I think with Brooks, if he is going to be on this Ryder Cup team, we need him. He has to contend very deep in one or more of the next three majors. And I don't necessarily think we've seen a lot from Brooks Koepka since the Oak Hill win. And it's a big question mark for me is like, where are we at with Brooks Koepka? And are we starting to see maybe a decline in his performance at major championships?
It's like we were talking about with Rory. It's the motivation, and I'm just not seeing it out of Brooks right now. I mean, he's got so much skills, and he's got the mind. Obviously, the guy's won 5 major championships. He loves getting in that hunt, and the fact that we're not seeing it, I feel like is a testament to his lack of preparation. And when you're playing on that tour and you're not getting the reps, you're not getting the competitive sort of juices going like you would at signature events or bigger events on the PGA Tour. I just think that he's showing up and he just doesn't have what it takes, man. I mean, he's always said that what's different about major championships is that he actually prepares for them. Well, he's clearly not preparing right now. That's my take on Brooks.
I think like one of the things with Brooks too is I feel like if you read between the lines when he talks about his kid, he's an invested father. And I think that is just another aspect of life, especially like, I mean, I think that just like parenting's changed, a lot from 25 years ago to now. And, I think that is just another aspect of preparation, the ability to only care about yourself. I imagine you went through this as a pro golfer. Like it is a selfish endeavor. You have to put, like, the nature of the sport is you have to put yourself first. And I think with Brooks and I don't know about Rahm, but like Rahm also seems like he's invested as a father. It makes playing extremely high level golf a little harder. And when you get to major championships, it is a challenging, like the margins just get so small. And that's the difference between a T18 and I've got a chance to win a major on a Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, my from personal experience, my son was born in April of 2009, and 2009 and 10 were the worst 2 years of my golf career. I mean, like you felt guilty when you leave and your wife's at home with a baby. And when you're home, you just want to help out and do everything you can to make her life easier, which takes away from your preparation, going out and practicing and stuff. So I think that's a very valid point. But I mean, Jack Nicklaus did it. You just have to have a wife that is understanding and supportive. And I think Rahm and Brooks both have that, but they have a lot more downtime than they used to. I mean, they're only playing 20 weeks, 22 weeks a year, and they have more time at home to be with the family. And they're like, you know what, this is pretty nice. I think I'm not going to go to the golf course today. How about we take the family out on the boat and go fishing today instead? I mean, those are easy decisions to make. Of course, you're going to choose that.
Brooks I also like, my other thought with Brooks is one of the things with his game is like the overwhelming power that he had. And I just don't think it's as overwhelming anymore. He's still a force, but he is not, I would not put him in the, like, who are the preeminent power players of right now in golf. I don't think he's in that top echelon like he used to be in, 2019.
The amount of effort it takes, and that's what makes what Rory's done throughout his whole career so impressive. I mean, the guy's an animal in the gym. He does like an hour workout that would rock me to my core before he goes and plays.
Every day.
Every day.
Like, creatures of habit, right? Him and Scotty to me are like the two that just like, they know what they do.
So I've been thinking about this question a lot lately, and I've asked a few friends. Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler are both playing A games, and they're together in the final round, start tied. Who do you take at their best? Do you take Rory or do you take Scotty? At their absolute best, who is the better player?
I think it depends where you're playing. If it's Quail Hollow, I'm taking Rory because he can just bypass so many of the hazards. I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago, is to me, when they've been, paired on the weekend places, and I don't know, this is just anecdotal memory stuff, but like to me, it seems like Rory usually gets the best. I think it's hard to play from 40 yards behind someone, even for Scotty Scheffler. It's when they play together, it is kind of mind-boggling how much further Rory hits it.
Well, I'll throw this one at you. Sunday of the Genesis this year, obviously at Torrey Pines, not Riviera. They were on the periphery of contending. Scotty Scheffler went out and whooped him. Scotty Scheffler was making sort of an Olympic-sized comeback like he did in Paris, and sort of faltered there on 16 and made bogey. But Rory had no chance against him. That's the only time I really remember them playing together on a Sunday anywhere remotely in the hunt. Probably to your point that they don't necessarily fit the same golf courses, so you don't see them paired together a lot late on a Sunday.
I was thinking back to LACC 2023 when they played together on that Sunday, and it was, they get it done so different. Scotty was one of my things. Is he on your list?
Absolutely.
Like to me, the thing that is impressive with Scotty is just he kind of tailors his style for the golf course. You see him some weeks throttle back, take speed off the driver. He has a lot of different. I think he might be the premier tacticianer of a golf course, right? Like I think he synthesizes golf courses at an extraordinarily high level, understands like deeply where he needs to get the ball to succeed. And I think like he's kind of a chameleon with how he plays, where, Rory commented this week about Golden Age golf courses, how he's just learned that he just hits driver and figures it out from there. Right. And I think like JT corroborated the point. He's like, if I was Rory, I'd do that everywhere. I think Scotty, you see him play, particularly off the tee. He's got like he's got different stuff for different places and different holes. Right. And I think Scotty is he's obviously, Craig Ranch was like, that was one of the most impressive performances because of the golf course's inability to like create tension with the best players in the world, to just run away is actually like, that was like a 15 shot win at the Memorial.
His performance at the Byron Nelson was unbelievable. And to your point about having another gear with the driver, the tee shots he hit on Saturday and Sunday on 14, the drivable hole there, was a different Scotty. I mean, on Sunday, he's got a 9-shot lead, starts at left of the left hole location and just pounds it up there. Like, I didn't think he had that cover when it came off the club. I'm like, oh man, he just rinsed it. This may get interesting. But he does. He has that power. One of my topics was about course knowledge at Quail Hollow, and I think this is a perfect conversation to have about Scotty, because he's never played the Wells Fargo Championship there, Truist Championship. He's only played the President's Cup, and I think when I saw him Monday at Pinehurst, he had never been to Pinehurst number 2. Obviously, was just completely mentally, physically drained from that win at Memorial, because that was a major championship setup at Memorial that day when he won. And what did he shoot, 1 over par to get that victory? Like, that was a ridiculously trying test. So I'm a little bit concerned about him at Quail Hollow, just because he does have the week off. So he'll be able to come in and prepare. And I think Ted Scott has a lot to do with Scotty's preparation, because Ted's been around these places with Bubba so many different times, and other players too. But and I know Bubba loved Quail, and so Ted knows that place really well. But you learn certain things about a golf course based on competitive rounds. And I think Quail Hollow, different hole locations. One day, obviously, I think any great golf course is this way, but one day the miss is front left to a back right hole. The next day the pin's front left, and you can't miss it. And sometimes it takes those reps of actually hitting it in that spot before you realize how bad it possibly is. But that is what makes him so great. And that's what I think the team of Ted Scott and Scotty Scheffler are so great, because they tactician themselves around you rarely see Scotty in a spot where he's got no chance to get it up and down. When he misses it, it's usually in the proper spot. And that is one of the greatest qualities you can have as a championship level golfer.
We've seen Scotty, obviously he's won 2 Masters. He does not have, I think one of the things with he's had an incredible couple of years here. He's been bona fide best player in the world. And when you look at like weeks at career number 1 career all time, he's getting very high up there. I think he might be 4th in all time weeks at number 1 in the world. But he has no majors outside of Augusta, Georgia. And that starts to become a bigger, but he's still young. He's still early in his career. But I think this is one of my themes with a lot of players in the field is that but. And we saw this with Rory. It gets harder the longer it doesn't happen. And for Scotty, I'm looking at it and it feels like to really cement his like all-time status. Like there needs to be major championships outside of Augusta, Georgia.
I'm completely with you, and I'm down to start this narrative. What's wrong with Scotty? He's one-dimensional when it comes to majors. He can only win at Augusta National.
I'm not there. I'm not. He's contended a lot of places. He's had chances to win a lot of other places.
I think we have to wait until he wins his 3rd green jacket before we can really start that narrative, because he's built for a U.S. Open in my mind. The way he drives the golf ball, the way he thinks about the golf course. I think a U.S. Open is coming really soon, in the next couple of years at least. I think he's gonna pick one of those off, and I would say the same thing about the PGA Championship. I do. I think Scotty, he's the way he goes about his approach mentally. Was there ever a doubt that he was going to win the Byron Nelson after that first round? He's such a great front runner. He's got such a great mind. Like he doesn't beat himself. Which, I mean, look, Rory, that was been the knock. Pinehurst, Rory kind of lost that U.S. Open. Not kind of. He did lose that U.S. Open. Once he birdied 13, he lost his swing and started missing it left on all the tee shots. And Scotty, though, do you have more confidence in somebody if there's 9 holes to go and he's got a 2-shot lead? Is there anybody in the game of golf you're more comfortable winning that tournament than him? Like, he's not going to beat himself.
Highest floor of a pro golfer. I think, like, there are players that maybe have had, I don't even know if there are players that have had higher peaks, but there's without a doubt since Tiger Woods, no player that's had a higher floor. Like, what's coming every week from Scotty Sheffler.
I think Xander was darn close last year. I think Xander's floor is pretty high, but not like Scotty's. He doesn't finish outside the top 10, and if he does, he's certainly not finishing outside the top 20. What did he have? 1 finish last year outside the top 20, and that was at Pinehurst, which he didn't have his best stuff. Still makes the cut. I mean, it's remarkable. Like, and he does it in such a way that people are like, oh, Scotty's boring. He's not boring. Scotty's hilarious. Watching him cut it up Thursday, Friday with Siwoo Kim and Jordan Spieth when they're waiting all day on this golf course at TPC Craig Ranch. Like, the guy is awesome. He just doesn't. And I think it was starting at Valhalla last year when he got arrested and he was talking about the stretching in the prison cell, and that was a first. Like, I think he's starting to just show us little snippets of his personality, because he is he is a fun dude. I saw him at the Hero World Challenge. I was invited to play the Pro-Am and had this dinner, and Scotty comes up to me and he's like, tell me a joke, Johnson, in this like dry way. He's a guy you want to go play golf and drink a couple beers with after the round. That's who he is, and he does it in the most unassuming way. I love him. I think he's a role model for the future generation of golfers. You want to be like Scotty Scheffler.
People call him a robot, and it's like, I'll tell you what a robot wouldn't have done is after he won the Masters, stopped in at your local dive bar on the way home.
Exactly.
All right, he's played 21 majors. How many top 5s do you think he has?
12?
No, 7. 12 would be insane.
Right.
7 with 0 at the Open. So four of which at the Open. So if you take out the Open, he's got 7 top 5s in 17 starts. So get almost 50%, which is insane.
It's insane. But it's the same way. It's the same way it is on the PGA Tour. I mean, and that's like he doesn't. I don't think he puts majors on this super high pedestal. I think he puts all golf tournaments he plays in on the same level, and that's what makes him so consistent. And to be able to win the Masters and the draining, the amount of mental drain that is, and to go win the RBC Heritage the very next week like he did last year, like that to me is one of the greatest things ever. Because you win a major, man, you want to take some time. You need to decompress. You need to celebrate, let it settle in. But to go out and win the very next week, man, that's tough to do.
I would handicap him third here. And that's just because he cannot bypass the hazards the way that Bryson and Rory can. Would you agree with that?
Maybe even fourth. I mean, you look at the way Xander Schauffele's played Quail Hollow over the years. I mean, I was standing in the ninth farewell. It's the ninth hole, but for the President's Cup, it was the 18th hole because we rerouted the golf course. And I was standing in the fairway when he hit this little wedge in there and made the putt to clinch the President's Cup. He battled with Wyndham 2 years ago there. He battled with Rory last year. I think Xander Schauffele sneaky is just ahead of Scotty.
It's just, form certain places you just go and it feels like you can't shoot a bad score. And it seems like for Xander and Rory that Quail Hollow is just that place where it's just you go there and everything seems to work, even if everything's not working perfectly for you.
Right. But I think it'll be a testament to Scotty's game when he's in contention on the weekend at Quail Hollow, because it's a tough time in the schedule for guys from Texas that have loyalties to both the Byron Nelson and Colonial, because they've got to take a week off somewhere. Jordan Spieth this year isn't. He's going to play 5 straight through the Memorial, which is a lot of golf. But for Scotty, I respect the fact that he has not played Quail Hollow because he wants to support his hometown events. But man, it's not everybody's cup of tea. John Rahm's talked about it. John Rahm hates Quail Hollow. I mean, he hates it. There's some holes out there that he just can't get over, like the 4th hole, the par 3, which I don't disagree with him. I don't particularly care for that hole either. When you have a blank canvas to build a par 3 and you build that hole, it's a bit frustrating. But other than 4 and maybe the green complex on number 8, I think it's the best place in the world.
What else do you have on your list of big things you're watching this week?
I mean, I think we have to talk about Jordan Spieth, and I mean, what a great time that we are our ages to be enjoying and covering the game of golf. We've had, Phil Mickelson obviously has a chance to complete the career Grand Slam at the U.S. Open, but Rory doing it has made it a reality. And I would not have said that Jordan Spieth had a prayer to win at Quail Hollow. It was his first time trying to complete the career Grand Slam back in 2017. And now it's his 9th crack back at Quail Hollow. What he's done with his driver the last couple seasons is working for me. And watching him play the Byron Nelson, he has more pop than I've ever seen. He's really committed to that driver. He now is giving me some hope that he can get there on Sunday at Quail Hollow, because he's driving it long, he's driving it straight. And as tough as Quail Hollow is around the greens, Jordan Spieth can get it up and down from anywhere. And I think the problem with him has been like he puts himself in too much trouble off the tee the last few seasons. And now that he's driving it better, he's going to let his artistry work around these green complexes. And I think he's got an outside chance. And 2 weeks ago, I would have said he had 0 chance.
Yeah, I think like Jordan's one of the more interesting golf stories, just from I think we saw this with Seve a little bit, where maybe Seve played his best golf at a very young age. And I think Jordan, there's been just a lot of he's a tinkerer, right? He's obsessed with chasing perfection, obsessed with improvement. And I think if you look at a guy like Scotty Sheffler, it seems to me like Scotty knows what works and he does what works. And they're kind of diametrically opposite approaches to how they, and I think there's a real aspect of golf success. If you are fine with monotony, if you are fine with just rolling in and doing what you do week in, week out, day after day, golf is a lot harder for those that are very curious. And I think like, I just wonder, like, in pursuing becoming a great driver, did he lose what his superpower was, which was approach play? And to me, like, it's, if you start to look at like what the greatest major championship players, what they typically have is a stellar approach play. And that's where I've struggled with Jordan right now, is like, are we getting rock solid A+ short game or approach play week in, week out?
No, clearly we're not. But I would also take it a step further. When he's winning all those majors, 2015, 17, in contention all the time, he made more 30-footers than anybody ever could. And it's not a sustainable lifestyle. You cannot expect to make putts like that all the time. But he did for a number of years. And now you see a guy like Rory and you see a guy like Scotty. Scotty Scheffler had an 8-shot lead last week, or whenever the Byron Nelson was. And he was 17th in strokes gained putting for the week. You're breaking all kinds of scoring records, building this massive lead, and you're not the number one putter in the field. Like that, and then you look at Jordan and you're like, man, if he doesn't putt well, he's probably not going to be around for the weekend. And so I think it's the iron play. I also think it's the putter with him too. Like, he finally on Sunday, he shot 62 and finished solo 4th, I believe, but too little too late. And it takes him making all these putts, because he misses so many short ones and he does so many bad things that he has to compensate and make up for it. He's not a mistake-free, boring golfer like Scotty Scheffler is.
I think we're so removed now from that run that you begin to hear undertones of like people being like, we knew that the model wasn't sustainable, you know? And it was like, while it was going on, nobody was going to say that, but you know, like you begin to hear, you know, it's like, well, yeah, he wasn't going to putt like that forever. Because I think that's what was going through people's head while it was happening, is like, how is this happening? How does this guy make so many 20-footers? I think like when you look at career Grand Slam opportunities for Jordan Spieth, Aronimink, PGA Frisco, Olympic Club, probably better opportunities than Quail Hollow.
I think the rough and the approach game coming from off the fairway, he's just got to do so many great things that I think, you know, the Brysons and the Rorys are just going to have such an advantage over him. It's going to be it's definitely an uphill battle, but I give him a 2% chance.
Hey, it's better than nothing. I think like 2 years ago, it felt like, or, you know, even last year at Valhalla, it didn't feel like there was even a chance. Like the career Grand Slam narrative with him has gotten pushed so far down the storylines going into it. You know, that I think that's, you know, the golf's a better place when Jordan Spieth's playing great golf. So hope for great golf from him. My last thing is, majors are only going to get more difficult and we see this is kind of the Rory situation. The longer it goes, for Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, and I am not being impatient. This is very Ludwig Aubert. And this is like, I'm not worried about Ludwig, but this is a great place for Ludwig. And I think everywhere is a great place for Ludwig. But we've seen this so often with players. It is so important to pick off majors when you're young and early, because then it becomes the best player that doesn't have a major. Ludwig is absolutely the best player in golf without a major. Victor Hovland's right there, I think. And
what about Patrick Cantlay? I mean, I'm sorry, Ludwig's won two. He's won two PGA Tour events.
Is Patrick Cantlay a world-class player still?
Yes, absolutely.
Would you put him in your top 10 players in the world?
No. Go ahead, continue.
So, anyways, Morikawa is more like he hasn't won one with fans.
There were people out there at the Open Championship. Not yeah, okay, fair.
Limited.
Fair.
He really hasn't won many tournaments with fans. And it's been a long time, and there's been a lot of close calls, and it's getting to be like a, it's a storyline. And I think like the other thing is he's running into Sheffler on Sundays, and he's running into Rory on Sundays. And it's like, I think there's a clear top echelon in the game right now, and he is just a notch below it. And winning one, though, it like getting his third puts him back up into like this stratosphere of like supreme young talent that could end up being one of the all-timers. And I'm not like worried, but he's such a great iron player. But does he have the horsepower? And again, these things just get more difficult the longer you go without winning another one.
He doesn't have enough horsepower, but one thing I will say is the market improvement he's made on his short game over the last season and a half. That's going to compensate for the lack of power off the tee. I mean, you really have to have 180 mile an hour ball speed to win major championships right now. I hate it that that's where the game is. I think Morikawa is going to be a guy that benefits from the golf ball rollback in a couple of years. And he's still so young. I mean, we look at Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth's just 31. How old's Colin Morikawa? 27?
I think he's 28.
I mean, he's still young. I mean, I think, I don't know why he got rid of JJ Jakovac, by the way. And hire. I mean, I think Joe Griner's a heck of a caddy, and I think he's awesome. But like, you're the fourth ranked player in the world. You've been on an incredible run. Do you have any insight into that split at all, Andy? Because
I don't. He's made some curious decisions. He went to Blackburn for a while, then went back to his old coach. It's been, I don't know. I think he's tried stuff, and maybe he just feels like what they were doing, he wasn't getting across the line. Relationships are weird like that, right?
Very, very much so. But still, like, he just is improving, and he's getting there. You're right. He ran into Sheffler. He runs in, he gets beat. It's not like he's beating himself. I mean, you could say maybe he kind of beat him
that 1 year.
Yeah, we definitely did there. And then the double he made on 9 at the Masters last year on Sunday was catastrophic. That was sort of a self-inflicted wound, but he is getting beat by better players. And when you look at Scotty, when you look at Rory, they have a dynamic aspect of their game. And I just don't feel like Colin has that dynamic aspect to go run away and hide from Fields. I don't think a caddy change is going to make that happen for him. But I mean, he's been so consistent over the last couple seasons. Like, I think his time's coming, but it's not coming to Quail Hollow. He needs a place that sort of mitigates distance a little bit, like a Pebble Beach, maybe.
Yeah.
Somewhere where it's cold,
Olympic
where
Club.
the Olympic, like that, like he needs that vibe. He doesn't need a bomber's paradise like Quail Hollow, where it's going to be warm and the ball's going to go forever. He just can't do it. And he's pretty one-dimensional off the tee as well. I'd love to see him be able to shape the ball both directions. That one-dimensional fade, I think, is nice, but I think it's hard to win major championships with that, especially an Open Championship as well. You got to be able to flight that ball down.
I'll never forget. I watched a couple players hit shots at Kiowa on 17. It was just howling into it, and I watched him just hit his just stock fade, and it just floated. And it's like, I'm very surprised in this era where players have had real success adding speed incrementally. Look at Rory McIlroy. Like, it's just, he has added speed slowly. I am so shocked that we haven't seen incremental gains in Colin Morikawa, who seemingly has like a very strong fundamental base to work off of, right? And I get, like, one of the things you have to be precious with Colin Morikawa is, like, do not rock the boat with the irons, right? Because that is the reason he's going to be a top 5 player for such a long time is he is a generational iron player. But improving the driver distance to get more short irons to amplify your generational skill seems like it would be at the top of my list of things to do if I was, looking hard at Colin Morikawa's game.
mean, he hits it far enough, but he's a little guy. Like I don't what a like. Xander Schauffele did it beautifully, and look what it's done for him. I mean, Xander can. I mean, he can pump it. He can get that ball speed up to 185 plus 187 if he needs.
And all of a sudden, he came from close to getting across the line.
Yep. And it's where the game's headed. I think it's more so now than it's ever been. Length is a prerequisite to winning major championships. You have to have it. Like Brian Campbell, who won the Mexico Open, Brian Campbell is never going to win a major championship. He's got 165 mile an hour ball speed. It's just, sorry.
He went to one of the greatest universities in the world, University of Illinois.
That's right, Illini.
So, if you want a caveat there.
But I mean, you can have a nice career on the PGA Tour. You can play well. And like Sepp Straka went the other way. Sepp made it a point he wanted to play from the fairway more, so he took a couple miles an hour off of his driver over the last 4 years. Which Sepp's a massive dude. He could be sending out there. But I think to be a top 5 player in the world, to contend in these major championships, you can't have less than 175, 180 mile an hour swing speed. It's just, or club head speed, or ball speed. It's just not. It's watching golf the way I watch it now. It sucks because it's why I wasn't good enough to play in more majors is because I didn't hit the ball far enough. And it's just my son who's 16. He can get it out there. He's got 177 mile an hour ball speed right now, and it's like, man, you gotta teach these kids as they're growing up. Like, if you want to be great, you have to hit it far. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like bona fide. Who's going to play well, major championship in and major championship out. Right now, the list is like who you expect it from. Like you expect to play well is Scotty, who he can hit 180. Yeah. You know, you've got Xander, you've got Rory, you've got Jon Rahm and Bryson. All of them, like when you look at their games, there are not discernible weaknesses. There's not like a glaring, like he can't do this. And I think with Colin, there's a glaring, and it used to be a couple glaring things, but the iron play carried the day so much. But now it's just like, well, could I just get a few more easy wedges into greens? And that's what distance offers you.
And as these golf courses get longer and longer, I mean, Quail Hollow can stretch out to 7650, and these places aren't getting shorter. And that's why I mentioned Pebble or Olympic. These sort of Pebble. I'm out at Pebble today. I was looking at the card. It's 6,800 yards. It doesn't play that short. It doesn't play that short. But I mean, it's like me playing on the PGA Tour. There are very few places that I could win, and I took advantage of those few places. Colin Morikawa is like that in major championship venues. Like, I don't love Oakmont for him. I don't love Quail Hollow for him. Like, and you look at a Ludwig, even Ludwig there's no golf course that doesn't fit him, as you said. I think he could get a little better with his wedges. I think he could get a little better around the greens, but I mean, he's still, man, we're just like halfway through his second full year on the PGA Tour. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a break. But for Colin, you bring up some really nice points, and it is concerning. And what's more concerning is the caddy split right in the middle of major championship season. I didn't understand it. I saw him at the Zurich Classic. JJ's awesome. That was mind blowing to me that he would make that switch leading into the PGA.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a great championship. We're going to see you on Golf Channel. You'll be all over it, live from, hopefully replaying a lot of iconic shots out there.
Absolutely.
I've really enjoyed your rise in the golf media world. It's been super fun, and look forward to seeing you more this year. You've got Bryson for the record down as your winner. I've got Rory. Looking forward to a great PGA Championship, and big thank you for coming on and joining us to chat through it.
And you, Andy, let's wait until the fall, but when you get some time, you need to come to Quail Hollow and play with me and my friends. And I think it would give you a better understanding of how special this place is.
There are a lot of people have been in my ear that, the quail disdain needs to stop till he set foot on ground. So you're not alone.
I'll even bring you into the member tent next week. We can have a transfusion together.
I'm not going to be there. I had to. I listen. I got a young family, and I was just away for basically 2 weeks, and I was at the Masters. I am on a strict kind of limited travel for the next couple weeks.
All right, well,
I'll see you at Oakmont.
It's our loss. I'll see you at Oakmont. We'll have to catch up there in person. Thank you, Andy.
All right, thanks, Johnson. All right, big thanks to PJ Clark for editing and producing this podcast. We're going to have a ton of stuff going on the PGA. Check out our website, thefriedegg.com. It's new. Check that out anyways, but we will be flowing with content. We'll have daily pods on the Shotgun Start Pod if you want to know what's going on in action day in, day out. But follow us and hope everybody has a great PGA Championship.